All right, welcome guys to the GND Protocol gETH AMA live here at YouTube. I just want to, real quick, I'm going to send this link to the Discord. So let me get into that real quick. And let me find the live link. I'll send an edited version of this to this channel in the Discord after recording. It'll also be on my YouTube channel. We'll probably post this in some form. Alright, I'm having some issues already. Awesome. Alright, here's the live. I'm going to click, grab the link so we can get started here. Alright guys, please, in the GND Discord, if you go there, please go to the gETH AMA channel. There's a bunch of questions that have already been asked in here. I'll go through that as a part of this video. Please let me know in that chat or in the chat on YouTube if you have any questions. I'll open up the chat here as well. See if I can get this running for myself. Thank you for bearing with me as I get this started, guys. Pause myself here, but I want to have the chat open in YouTube as well as in the Discord. Alright, so we launched gETH today as a part of GND Protocol. There's a lot to go over. Most of you should be familiar with the addition of this protocol if you've read some of the documentation. We've had a couple things in Medium. There was this gETH for Dummies, a beginner's guide to best understanding of gETH and sgETH and all that pertains. I do want to go through the launch schedule, and I think I'll do that first since we're here. Today we launched. It's July 19th, 2023, and we will be rolling this out through the 28th. Today is the official launch. We have the contract is deployed. UI is publicly available. You can mint gETH with the collateral that you can see on the gETH website. We've got GMD ETH. We've got wrapped ETH, wrapped staked ETH from Lido. We have staked Frax ETH from Frax and our ETH from Rocket Pool. This is not the end of our partnerships. We will be adding more at some point. I don't know when for sure, but we'll add them as partnerships grow. All of these take custom oracles, so they do. It does require some partnership between the underlying protocols and GND's dev team. Saul Goodman and Bessie Kettleman and the crew have worked really hard on this to get this going. We had some awesome interns that designed this new UI. This UI will actually be rolled out along the entire site, so look forward to that little alpha for you guys here. Currently, you can deposit if you have any of the assets in your wallet, and I did this earlier today. I threw in some WETH and got some gETH, and then I also put in some wrapped staked ETH. Now, one thing that was really confusing up front for a lot of people, let me go into the Discord and look at this, is that we do have some weights, some gauge weights, if you will, to make sure that we have a good representation of each asset. So let me go to the announcements channel actually, and go over that really quickly. 30% plus or minus 5% in wrapped staked ETH, 20% in staked Frax ETH, 20% in RETH, ETH and wrapped ETH 20%, and GMD ETH can make up to 10% plus or minus 5%. So if you're trying to add a lot of liquidity in one specific token, I do recommend you swap, and you can do that inside of the app in order to break that into smaller pieces so that you can add them individually. I think we'll probably have less issues with that as we go, and there will be a very new user interface, kind of a visualization of these weights coming really soon. In fact, I believe they're calling it the ultrasounds dashboard to go with the Ethereum theme. So that'll be coming out, I believe, as early as this weekend, but likely it'll be early next week. We're just getting the contract tested right now. We have done an audit, so that will answer one of the questions. In fact, this was done a little bit ago. If you follow Saul Goodman on Twitter on July 2nd, so almost 3 weeks ago, Saul posted this GitHub that was a audit of, not by Certic, cheeky there, from the that's listed on GitHub here. So click on that link. You can check out the audit results here, and they're very similar to the GND audit. Some of the same things were brought up. Decentralization risks. We're not a decentralized application in any stretch of the sense yet. We do have some multisigs coming. We have a multisig specifically for gETH that will be used as a part of the gETH side of GND coming up soon. So there is some decentralization, if you will, in that regard. However, the GND deployer that holds all of the LP positions is not under multisig, so that Sol can adjust ranges easily and quickly without needing to use multisig from the other devs. So just a little insight or explainer on that. Let's go back to gETH. So you can deposit to acquire the ETH, the gETH from this. So I'm going to go back to deposit here and go through some of these fees. So that are listed down here in the corner. If you haven't noticed, there are some fees here. So I'm just going to put one in to make sure this all registers. But to mint gETH from WETH, there's a 0.01533 mint amount. Deposit fee is currently 0, it looks like, for that asset. I don't know if that's the case. Yeah, deposit fee for GMD ETH is 0.05%. Lido 0.05%. Frax 0.05%, it looks like, and RETH is the same. Let's see if I go back to WETH, it goes back to 0. So you can deposit wrapped ETH currently for no deposit fee, which is nice. That's news to me, as I thought all of them might have some sort of fee involved, but it looks like we're generating fees, deposit fees for the staking assets, the wrapped staked, the LSD derivatives of Ethereum right now. In order to withdraw, it's just a swap backwards, right? There is a redemption fee of 0.2%. And then if you do swaps for these assets, the swap fee is 0, but that's just within the protocol. I do think there's some back-end fees in because we're using Uniswap v3 as our I guess if you're just swapping inside of the protocol, there's not going to be any swap fees. Let me see if that changes depending on any of these assets here. I don't think that's the case. So you get a 0 swap fee. I don't know if you're going to be able to do a huge swap within the application here. If you're going to be trading large amounts, you may have to use something like Uniswap to trade. But there is that swap fee inside of gETH, which is, I think this is going to be a great liquidity hub for all of Arbitrum. There's not a lot of liquidity in particular for these assets in one centralized location. You can find wrap staked ETH in different, you can certainly find it in Uniswap, you can find it in Kyber Swap, you can find it certainly in Llama Swap, but Frax is a little bit harder to find on Arbitrum, and Rocket ETH as well. I think actually Rocket ETH is probably the most prolific. GMD ETH obviously is probably the least easy to find, and so you'll want to probably mint that through GMD. I do think, by the way, GMD is going to be opening up Mux Vaults very soon, so Mux ETH will likely be an option in here pretty quickly as well. And so that's the functionality of how this all works on the front end right now. Now, I would like to get in to, let's finish out the timeline. So ETH native collaterals will be added to gETH lineup. This will be starting tomorrow. This kind of overlaps with today a little bit. It depends on what time zone you're in, obviously. We'll get more and more ETH collaterals and then more ETH farms. So we can already LP in wrap staked ETH versus gETH, and also wrapped ETH. So wrapped ETH and wrap staked ETH are both available currently. Some great APRs. If you're used to low impermanent loss LPing, guys, these are extraordinary APRs. In fact, if you follow me on Twitter, I almost daily post low impermanent loss ETH pools, and 78 and 58% are some of the higher ones that I've seen, and they are paid in the GND and XGND tokens at a ratio of 75% to 25%, or is it 70-30? I can't remember exactly. I can't do the math in my head unless we've looked at a 100% one. Yeah, it does look like 75%, 25% in the staked to or XGND to liquid GND on that. But these are great staking APRs, and if you're an XGND holder, you're getting 45% right now, I believe, in the staking pools. 42 to 45 depending on your I have some RP as I've been staking for the duration of this protocol being open. Let's get into some of the functionality on the staking side. So staking isn't yet. Let me get into the timeline again. Staking is going to be starting next week. SGETH or staked gETH will be enabled as early as the 24th. May not be that early, but we'll see. Hopefully we get that bright and early on, I believe Monday morning is the 24th. And then in the near future, This is beyond the date of the rollout. When the near future will have a minting on Ethereum native gETH, so you have that option. And then there's going to be a bridge as well, kind of a layer 0 option to mint from Ethereum to Arbitrum via. If you have Ethereum or any of the derivatives over there, the LSDs on the Ethereum mainnet, you can mint gETH on Arbitrum from the mainnet Ethereum. So that'll be a pretty cool feature. That's a partnership we did with Layer 0. I don't know if it'll be early enough to be part of the snapshot for a possible Layer 0 token airdrop, but we'll see. Other things we want to mention is that we will have some ability to partner with other protocols, liquidity forks, right? Liquidation free lending, and those are. I'll answer the question about that. There was a question in the Discord about that specifically, and I want to get to that before moving to the next thing. So I think that's it for the timeline. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about that. Make sure we get some comments in here. All right, so moving on. Just make sure I don't have any extra questions in YouTube here. Awesome. Looks like I got a couple people participating right now. So once gETH, staked gETH is launched, we will be able to acquire the yields that you get from these liquid staking derivatives, right? So it's very similar to the Frax staked ETH and Frax ETH model, where Frax ETH is used to LP and trade, and staked Frax ETH is there. That is the actual LSD that gains the underlying yield of the staking yield of Ethereum, right? So most LSDs right now are making about 4% from the validator nodes. This will be rewarded partially to the staked gETH holders, the stakers there, and we do expect that there could be a relatively high staking yield because we have some different mechanisms. Partially because the LPs APRs are so high, and we do expect this to be pretty consistently above 20% here. If it's above 20%, we did some of the math, and we do think that this is going to be a better incentivized pool to that of something like a staked Frax ETH or any of the other LSDs. Since we're also adding in like GMD ETH that makes between 15 and 25% in yield. We do think that's going to bolster the ETH yield side of staked gETH. So I think Saul's hinted at 10 to 11% being the underlying yield for SG ETH stakers, and the protocol will take part of those rewards as well. This is all in theory now. Obviously, we have some testing that we've done, but also we want to see it in practice. So because we're splitting gETH, which is coded 1-to-1 with Ethereum, so if you're holding gETH is worth 1 Ethereum, right? And SGETH is worth whatever the underlying yields of all of the LSDs in the gETH wallet are yielding. So if you're staking the gETH, you get, I believe it said in the docs, you're getting 50% of that total yield. Now we do expect, because so many people will likely LP gETH, that the staking APR of gETH or sgETH will be quite significant in comparison to most liquid staking derivatives. So a little bit more on that as I get into the questions in the Discord, but I wanted to start with that explanation. Now we will add more LP pairs here. We'll add RETH, I believe, and staked Frax ETH to the, probably with WETH and gETH, or with gETH as the LP. You might see more options here as well at some point, but for now, we'll probably pair everything against gETH to bolster liquidity in the ecosystem and generate fees for the protocol, which goes back again to some of it to the XGND stakers and ZGND stakers as we've added. But a lot of it, 50% of it, will go to the sgETH stakers. So that's the yield portion, not the LP portion. The LP portion will go to the XGND and ZGND stakers. So just to be clear. All right, let's get into the Discord and talk about some of the questions that we have here. All right. Yes, 1 gETH is equal to 1 ETH. It is tagged to an oracle. I believe we're using Chainlink for that specific oracle. You can look in, I'll link the, actually I have it linked in the GND FAQ. I did link the GitHub docs from the audit that was done, and so you can check that there. But the oracles are listed in there. I believe the oracles are also listed in the gETH documents as well. So back to the AMA comments here. How quick are we going to have a dashboard? I would expect it early next week, probably with the staking of gETH. So the sgETH launch will likely be along with the dashboard. The dashboard could come earlier, we'll see. I think we need to build bootstrap the liquidity first in order to get some good data for that dashboard to look proper. Do you think gETH LPs will generate much fees? What is the use case of swapping except adding to LP? Could be huge TVL but low fees. Well, like I said before, I don't think there's a lot of LPing going on for these specific assets. So I do think that the gETH LPs will generate decent fees. I don't know. I don't expect them to be high performers. Most of our LPs are the top performers on Uniswap, on Arbitrum. So they will generate a good amount of fees, but they might not be as high performing as, say, something like CHR right now, or the GND pool itself. GND being a highly traded token. I know like the GAST, the GHA or GA token, is also very highly traded right now. So the actual fees generated by the protocol from gETH might not be a huge amount, but again, it really depends on the vote side where the distribution goes. So whether or not it's building a lot of fees is it's somewhat relative. So we decide, and Saul and the team decide who's what pools get those rewards, along with, he allocates them based on their performance, but then the votes also allocate and TVL obviously plays a factor with the dilution of those APRs as well. So there's a lot of different factors going on there. So hopefully that makes sense. Don't know if there's going to be a lot of fees generated by the pools. That's yet to be discovered, but I do think they'll be incentivized by the protocol because of their use case and their fee generation of the minting side, and also the bridging, the layer 0 bridging actually probably be one of the highest fees per transaction, at least for the protocol. So if you have ETH, I think it will be probably cheaper than bridging and getting into the contract. I mean, there's fewer steps, so it could be a cheaper transaction. I'm not, obviously not sure about that yet, but in theory, it's a couple less steps, so you're spending less gas, and could be a cheaper option than bridging over to Ethereum and then going through the process of staking. So just converting with layer 0 could be a nice cheaper for the user, but a nice fee revenue for the protocol. But all right, so next question. Let's see. Can't paste image from Medium here, but utilities and yield earning mechanisms. The intrinsic value of gETH will be equal to 1 ETH. Yes, but while sgETH value will increase in comparison to ETH. Yes, there's not a question there. Okay, so they're answering the other question. Okay, I see. Yes, use cases are in the document. Do check that out. Go to the AMA and click on the gETH Medium article, Beginner's Guide. This is an interesting one. So gETH is similar to Unsheath. Yes, this is our biggest competitor as far as pooling LSDs, right? Unsheath charges 0% of staking yields. All of the staking yield apparently in Unsheath goes to the Unsheath stakers, where gETH takes 50%. So I do think that, like I said when I was talking about the yield side, because we believe that so many people are going to LP this and get the XGND rewards, that there will, like similar to, again, Frax ETH versus staked Frax ETH, that there will be more yields in the sgETH pool than there would be in Unsheath. So Unsheath doesn't aggregate stuff like GMD ETH, right, or soon to be MUX LPs, and the underlying for them is different. So we will have more yield potentially, but also we'll be splitting that because gETH is 1-to-1 with ETH, and sgETH makes the yield. I do think that we'll see a better split than even Frax staked ETH has to Frax ETH. But then again, to compare Unsheath to gETH is unfair because Unsheath doesn't have a non-yield bearing token where, or it does, I guess Unsheath does, but they don't there's nowhere to really use it outside of Unsheath. So if you're not staking your Unsheath, you're not really doing anything with it, from what I understand. I guess you can LP it, but I have used Unsheath. I didn't love the experience, especially since there was a lockup period. You did have to lock up your Unsheath for a certain amount of time. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. I haven't used it since the unlock period for my specific stake. I was yield farming it and had to wait like 3 months to get a certain percentage of yield, and it was fairly low yield after a while. It got diluted very, very quickly. And it was paid out in the the Unsheath token, not in actual ETH yield, right? Where sgETH will be paid out in actual ETH yield. To be very clear here, we're not paying out sgETH in XGND tokens like we are LPs. We're paying it out in ETH and not USH. That's what it is. USH tokens for unsheath yield. Very different model. Maybe not very different, but obviously different in certain ways. So please let me know in the comments if that is helping you answer that question. Let me go back to YouTube to make sure there's no comments over here. All right. Hopefully this is all working for you guys. I can't play this video along with recording, so I don't want to mess this up. So let me go back to Discord and keep answering some of these questions. From the docs, stake their gETH and receive sgETH to earn a part of the LSD yield, similar to FraxETH, stake FraxETH, where gETH value is pegged to 1 ETH, while sgETH value will be yield bearing. For example, okay, so another, which percentage of the LSD's yield means mention part? What do you have in mind? So I believe this is the 50%. I need to double check on this 50%. I don't know if it is going to be 50 specifically. Somebody in the comments let me know if you've read that and can quote that from the docs. I'll have to look that up and verify. Okay, so it says that gETH has been audited but has no proof, no links yet. I did link that. Again, that was in Saul Goodman's Twitter. Not listed here yet. Will be put in the docs, but I did put it in the GND FAQ. So go ahead and read that in GitHub, the audit there. What would happen if gETH price, in case one of LSD is used as collateral, depeg? So this is certainly possible. Depeggings happen, sort of, not drastically, but do happen in this space. Obviously, Ethereum being one of the most stable assets outside of Bitcoin in crypto in general, there shouldn't be a lot of issues there. However, a lot of these, these are somewhat centralized organizations that are providing these liquid staking derivatives, including gETH from GND Protocol. So we've got Frax, obviously, somewhat decentralized organization. We've got rETH, obviously, as a part of Rocket, and then we've got GMD ETH with the backing of GLP, from GMX vaults. So there's all of these different layers of possible fail points. Not saying that any of them are likely, but a lot of these are battle tested. Obviously, Rocket ETH, Frax ETH, Lido. All these are big names. GMX, all battle tested protocols. So what happens if they depeg? Well, gETH will be one-to-one with ETH no matter what, in my understanding. So whether or not one of the assets inside of the pool depegs, gETH will still be equal to ETH in coding. So now, if you read through some of the concerns in the audit, they're talking about oracles getting out of sync or something like that. So these are possible. Now, we are using the best oracles possible. They aren't free, guys. These aren't like open source things. We do pay for them in order to use them. So they are good oracles. They're the best that we can find. Layer 0 being part of them, and I think you can read through that in the audit, which oracles are for what asset. So we're not using the chain link for all of them. We're using specific oracles for each one. Now, if one depegs inside of the staked pool, the multi-sig wallet there, the value of the yield may go down for a short time depending on that, but I don't think we'll ever have a situation where gETH is less than an ETH at any point. So again, I could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding as of right now. So moving on. Partnering with liquidity forks, GND Protocol partners with liquidity forks like Libra Finance, enabling LSD holders to borrow stablecoins against their gETH holdings without the risk of a liquidation. The question here is, did we mean sgETH and not gETH? Yes, both and. So we can, you can definitely lend gETH without liquidation as long as you're borrowing ETH, right? So that is one option that could be seen in something like Libra Finance. You could see this in Gast as well soon. In fact, I'm doing an AMA with Savvy DeFi tomorrow actually for GMD. GMD protocol tokens will be the GLP. GMX vault tokens will be used in Savvy DeFi's non-liquidation lending market as well. Very soon, probably tomorrow night, actually. So check that out if you're a GMD vault user. But you can certainly lend gETH and have it not be liquidatable because it is pegged 1-to-1 with ETH. You could, as long as you're borrowing ETH against it, right? But I do think it's more likely that sgETH will be the likely lending market participant, just mainly because of the potential borrow fees. Now, not every market is going to have borrow fees in the same regard. In fact, I believe Savvy DeFi has an interesting way of calculating the loan so that you're not really accruing interest on your principal. I believe that is calculated differently so that gETH could be an asset that you could lend, but it is more likely that sgETH will be the lending asset. Although I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that works. I do believe that sgETH will be a transferable asset. That's one thing that I am not. I'm guessing that it is, and it's not going to be like staking XGND. Like, so you'll have the ability to, it'll accrue intrinsic value, right? So gETH will grow in value because of the value of ETH. So similar to wrap staked ETH versus staked ETH in Lido. So staked ETH in Lido accrues more staked ETH of that token, right? Where wrap staked ETH just accrues value. I believe sgETH is going to accrue value, intrinsic value, rather than be allotted more of the gETH token. And gETH will not accrue any interest, similar to FraxETH. So if you're familiar with that, FraxETH does not grow in size or value. It is pegged to the ETH token as well. So, will we be able to rewatch the AMA? Yes. This is recorded on YouTube. So as long as this is actually recording and not lagging, you should have the chance to rewatch this. So, and then thanks Rampant Mouse for posting this. LSD appreciate 50% of the wrap staked ETH. LSD's appreciation will go to GND Protocol, and the other half will go to sgETH stakers. So that does it does account for the wrap staked ETH LSD appreciation. I'm not sure if that's going to. I imagine that's going to be for every asset that accrues appreciation. Including like Frax staked ETH and Rocket's ETH as well. Not sure. I would imagine that would be the same case along the entire board, but as that reads, I'm not sure. So let me go back to YouTube and just check if there's any more questions here. I hope that you all are getting some value out of this. I'm sorry if it feels a little bit slow. Yep, Savvy DeFi. We'll be doing an AMA. Tomorrow, same time tomorrow actually, as we started this one, 5 p.m. Eastern is when we'll do the Savvy DeFi AMA with for the GND Protocol related to the GMX Vaults tokens, the GMD ETH, GMUSDC, USDT, and GMD BTC tokens will be part of Savvy DeFi coming up. Anything else that I forgot to mention? I did mention, as I wanted to mention, is since we're part of this protocol and ecosystem, I have mentioned them, but I want to mention them again before I go. We will be launching the MUX vaults over in GMD, and the new dashboard for gETH will be out shortly, which is not mentioned in any of the timeline that I understand. So with that, let me know if there's any more questions, guys. I think I might go through how to add to the LP real quick, just so everybody's on board with that as a little run through. But if you have any more questions, please put them in either the chat here in YouTube or in the AMA chat on Discord, and I'll get to those before I go. But we've got about 15 more minutes of this. I try to keep AMAs to about an hour at the most. So I'll go through LPing real quick. So in order to LP on GMD, as most of you probably know, unless you're new to the protocol, we're built on top of UniV3, which means we're using concentrated liquidity. And that means each of the assets are going to not necessarily be 50-50 when you add them to the liquidity pools. Now, when you're checking on this, guys, do use the 0.87 to 0.89 wrap staked ETH pool for gETH. I'm not sure if this was a mistake or if the assets are flip-flopped on this one, where it says 1.12 to 1.44. It could be as the token grows in value, but I have a feeling it's just a swap, like wrap staked ETH to gETH rather than or gETH to wrap staked ETH. So if you're adding liquidity here, and let's say that you have one full wrap staked ETH here, you're only required to add currently. Now this could change, and it does change regularly. Currently, you only have to add 0.76 gETH. So I actually like to go here first. This is where I start when I want to add liquidity to a position on either Uniswap or GND. I'd like to see what it's looking for me to LP to it, or to provide the tokens to it, so that I can go, to the swap. Say I have 2 wrap staked ETH. And I want to LP, and so I'm going to deposit, 0.75 or whatever it was, 0.73, 0.76, right? So 0.76, I would go over and swap that inside of gETH, or you could swap it on Uniswap now, as there is some liquidity in that pool. Seems like you might save a little bit in the deposit fee here, or the swap fee rather. Swap fee 0, I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but that's what it says. So you may get some better fees if you swap here, but then you would swap your wrap staked ETH for gETH. Or actually, you can't swap for gETH. You would deposit, you would deposit your wrap staked ETH for gETH in order to get that 0.75 or 0.76. So right now, if you were to add 1, I don't know if this is going to update like I expect it would, but yeah, I can't, since I don't have a full one in my wallet, I can't tell you exactly how that's calculation is going to be, but you would want to acquire 0.76 gETH here in order to create the LP. And then once you do that, you hit this add liquidity button, you approve it in your wallet as a transaction, and then you have the LP token. You are not going to make XGND rewards though until you deposit it into the farm. So you would go to the farm, find the gETH wrap staked ETH farm itself. You would want to, there's going to be a button here that says enable contract. Since I've already done that, it's gone. But you'll want to enable the contract first, and then hit this button, this plus button, in order to add your liquidity to this. And then you'd, approve and add your liquidity in your wallet. That would give you then your liquidity position. I put $821 into this pool via gETH and wrap staked ETH earlier this morning just to get it tested. APR on this is currently 58%, and don't forget to vote, guys. So if you voted on something else, you do have to hit unvote. You get 1 vote per wallet. I personally have like 7 different LP positions, and I'm only able to vote on 1. And with a decent amount of XGND, you have the ability to get some voting power, and you can, the more XGND that you have, the more you can sway the APRs via your vote. So either vote for the first time for the pool that you're adding to, or the pool that you want to increase the APR at, and then, or if you've already voted and you want to change your vote, hit unvote first, and then refresh, come back into the farm and vote for that pool. Hopefully that makes sense, and then you start getting your rewards. All right, let me see if there's any more questions before we wrap this up. Get back into Discord here, and then also, doesn't look like we have any more questions here. What about YouTube? See if there's anything else I can think of before letting this go. No more questions in Discord and YouTube. Feel free to add more questions, guys, in the general comments in the Discord, or in the AMA portion of the Discord. Either one works. The mods and myself, the team, will all be happy to answer. We're pretty active, especially the mods and I. ACV and E, you guys are awesome. Thanks for being a part of this, and being my cohort in this in Discord in particular. Thanks to all of the investors for watching this today. I appreciate you being a part of the protocol. Hopefully you're gaining some great yields in the LPs, and also staking rewards in XGND. But yeah, with that, guys, I think I'll wrap this up. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, the last thing I do want to talk about, I want to celebrate the fact that we have about $1 million more TVL. If we can get the dashboard to pop up here. I don't think we've ever hit $31 million in liquidity managed. So with the 2 new pools that we've added today alone, we've added almost $1 million in TVL to the protocol, which, as many of you know, should affect the price of the GND, the underlying GND token. So congratulations to all the investors, and let's keep on growing, guys. With more pools should come more liquidity, and obviously the more staked as well on the XGND and ZGND side, the more we'll have in our total value locked, not just in our total liquidity managed. So, but this is the metric right here that DeFi Llama tracks. So this is what a lot of investors see before they get into our protocol. And I'm really grateful to see that one up, like I said, almost $1 million in the last, gosh, not even 24 hours since we've launched gETH. So With that, thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to all of the investors. We appreciate you so much. I'm an investor in this protocol and have been using GMD and GND tokens since launch. And thank you so much for watching, guys. God bless.